Good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Pat.
How
Good
are you?
evening.
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Happy Mother's Day, guys.
Thank you. You as well.
You?
Oh, this-
Suki, are you there?
I am Pat.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're gonna give it a few more minutes for people to come in.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, how you doing, Warren?
I'm good.
Good. So Mia, how was your Mother's Day?
It was good. Thank you. How was yours?
Good.
Good. Even though it was a kind of a dreary weekend, it finally dried out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mia, how are you?
Good evening, Warren.
Good evening.
Okay, it's now what, 7:05? Suki, I think we can start now.
Okay.
Okay. Again, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay. So The rules of order for CB9 is still in place. I'm going to ask you all to, if you want to speak, to raise your hand, but I'm also going to ask you to stay muted until such time. We will be having a guest, and we don't want, and many of you may have different questions that you may want to ask or make statements, but I'm going to ask each of you that to be respectful, and everybody will get the opportunity to speak. Again, I want to welcome all committee members and guests. Under, what did our guests get here? Does anyone know? Mia?
I believe we do have some representatives here. If you are here for the presentation for the Vital Brooklyn Development for the Clarkson Estates, could you please unmute yourself or identify yourself by raising your hand?
Good afternoon. I'm one of the folks that's here in regards to the Clarkson Estates, but a number of my colleagues are still in the waiting room.
My waiting room is empty. They need the credentials re-forwarded.
More than likely, but I'll forward that to them right now too as
Thank you.
well.
Got it.
One moment.
I guess we can still start under, while we're waiting for them to come in. There's an update on resubmission of Fenimore Street Block Association. I've received nothing, so everything is still at a standstill.
That is correct. The district office has not received any documentation from anyone from Fenimore, nor has DCP contacted the office with any updates or any new information.
Okay, we will continue to keep it under old business until such time. We're gonna give a update. Esteban, you are our person for the community fair.
Yes.
So would you just like to just give an update or what our expectations are? Or what is that you like us to do, or you got the floor?
All right. I've reached out to a handful of organizations to hopefully set up tables. All of it will be related to land use. Hopefully we'll have some resources there. It would be great to have at least a couple or three committee members to sort of speak with people about the stuff that we're doing, or just in general talk about the committee and encourage them to come, to come to meetings. And yeah, so I spoke with Warren, and I think we've sort of got a general sense of how we want to move forward with it. So I'm hoping by the end of the week, I'll have confirmation from all the different organizations. So it's probably just like 3 different organizations, and if anyone has any additional ideas, please let me know. I'm happy to entertain those, but that's all I got for now.
Yeah, I want to know if Alicia could be a part of this here or no.
Yeah, I've already asked.
Okay, you say yes or no or what?
To be honest with you, I was a little shocked. I'm like, you sure you want Alicia and M-Top and Flat?
Listen, we want you to give correct information.
We always give correct information, otherwise we would be sued.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, yeah, we want to bring in as many people from the community as possible. So
yeah, I've asked
you would accept.
I've asked Alicia to talk about the different developments along Franklin Avenue and how they fought them, and how they've won. So I think that would be great. Also, MTOP always puts out some really helpful packets of information for those sorts of things. So I think it would be good to have that, because people want to know how to get involved.
And Alicia, one of the things also is zoning. That's real important. And this is what we were talking about before, is a lot of the people are not in the communities, are not even aware of what the ULURP is and what zoning represents. And so when they see different buildings going up, they just think it's like, why? They don't know why. So again, that's why we think you would be helpful.
Well, I definitely will be talking to my people. We're going to be having a meeting and kind of discussing whether or not we want to participate and how we want to participate. But we are educators, and that's always been one of our strong points, is to be able to educate the community, because as you know, a well-informed community is a powerful community. So, but I would like to do an update on the Franklin Avenue when you get a chance, Pat. I'm
Yeah, when
sorry
we
I
go
didn't-
into new business, you know, because I kind of forgot about it,
Okay.
really. So yeah, when we go into that.
Well,
segment.
there was just an incident that just happened this week,
Yeah,
this
I heard
weekend,
about it.
last.
Yeah. So
and
yeah, when
I
we
just
get
want to give an update on that.
right. So when we get into a new business, we can do an update. Because I'm quite sure people have other
Okay.
questions to ask. I mean, we know about it because it's been going on for quite some time. Although it kind of stopped and I thought everything was settled, and it just came up again. So that would be new business, I'm assuming. Because we had it under old business, but then it kind of went away.
Well, it
So maybe-
appears that it's
I think it's still technically old business,
old
right?
business because
It's
it's going
still
to
old
keep on
business?
going until it should be under old business because it's a situation that's going to continue to affect us until final determination has been made in the courts.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we let the presentation come in first, and the reason that I wanted to wait till late is because I'm quite sure there's other people going to have plenty to say about that particular situation that's going on under 54.
Okay.
All right, so let's see, is our guest here? Yes, no?
Yes, our guest should be here, and I guess whomever is presenting should identify themselves so that they can be made co-host.
It's me, Ellie Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Okay, so who's me?
It's Ellie Tedesco. I'm with Canva Housing Ventures.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and share? Okay, perfect.
Okay, so you can start your presentation.
Just make sure my mic works. Can you guys all hear me before? Because I have a part of the presentation. Eugene Flowers.
Yes.
Eugene?
Yes, we can hear
We
you.
hear
Thank
you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mia,
Yes, Ms.
in
Mosley.
case they just in case they have any problems, you know, I don't know what they're going to present. Okay, great.
Okay, can you guys see the screen okay?
Yeah, I see
Yes.
it.
Full screen. Okay, wonderful. So I'm Ellie Tedesco. I'm going to present Clarkson Estates on behalf of Canva Housing Ventures and Canva. I have been with Canva Housing Ventures for 4 years and a resident of CB9 for 7 years. I'm very fortunate to work in the community that I live in and know firsthand what an amazing community it is. So we'll jump right in. So Clarkson Estates was awarded through the Vital Brooklyn RFP process, which is, Vital Brooklyn is New York State's comprehensive development initiative to address the socioeconomic determinants of health. And prior to the state releasing this request for proposals, they did a lot of community engagement to really see what the community wanted for this site. So we responded, directly to these requests that were outlined. So the RFP priorities requested for supportive and affordable housing for youth aging out of foster care, formerly homeless young adults, formerly incarcerated individuals, community units at a range of area median income from 30 to 70% AMI, with the bulk under 50% AMI. On-site supportive services, wellness-oriented amenities, consideration for light and air and streetscape. Throughout the cure process, they also added in requests, including 80 parking spaces and a free Wi-Fi initiative. One key piece for this project, again, from community engagement and hearing what the community wanted, was a community hub that would serve as a one-stop shop for the neighborhood with childcare, adult education, employment training, financial literacy, small business support, all of these services that were outlined for us to respond to. So we'll do a quick overview of Canva and CHV, as well as the design team. When we pulled together the development team for this project, we looked to bring in groups that we had already worked with, including a Brooklyn-based general contractor who built Canva Gardens 1 and 2 on the Kings County Hospital campus, as well as other partners that we've worked with for a long time. When we pull together these teams, we also look to partner with local organizations. Again, we look for community input on this. These are groups that we worked with that really, hit all of the integrated areas of the Vital Brooklyn initiative. During COVID, we were particularly impressed with how nimble they were in adapting their services. So we'll continue to do this outreach as we move towards operations. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with Canva. Canva started as a merchants association in Flatbush and has been around for over 45 years. Canva has now grown to all 5 boroughs with 180 programs and 100 locations. We've given a little snippet of some of the programs that are in CV9. Canva is also a big employer, so we have almost 300 residents within the zip codes of CV9 that are employed by Canva. We currently have around 500 full-time and part-time positions open as well, including 142 within the zip codes of CV9. Canva's also continued to evolve, over the past 45 years and address, the evolving needs of the community. Canva Housing Ventures grew out of that really to address the need for permanent, affordable, and supportive housing. So this shows some of the projects that we have in Central Brooklyn and our, really high standard for design, as well as incorporating landscape into all of our buildings. So Canva Housing Ventures has been around for 17 years. Over that time, we have, created over 2,700 units across 16 developments, which represents over $1 billion in public-private investment and over 2 million square feet, which provides housing for 7,000 individuals. So Canva Gardens 1 and 2 really started our model of co-located housing and healthcare, as well as resources. And this is on Kings County Hospital campus, which is located near the site that we'll be talking about. And really bring this up to explain that we really leverage our developments to, one, provide economic opportunity for the neighborhood. So the contractor that we worked with on both of these projects, which will also be working on Clarkson Estates, hired over 220 Brooklyn residents over the course of construction, including 75 from community boards 9 and 17. They also exceeded the MWBE investment goals, as well as investing almost $60 million in Brooklyn-based subcontractors and for material and equipment purchases. One other key piece here is, these 2 projects went through the HPD lottery, but we do look to the community and the community boards to get input on, the trainings that should be provided for people applying through the lottery, as well as those preferences. And in this case, we advocated, because it was on the border, to have it have a local preference for both community board 9 and 17, as well as for employees of the hospital. So, we do work locally to understand what's going to best serve the community and then deliver on what we had discussed. Setra Reddy is the architect for this project, and they've been around for 35 years. You have an incredible attention to detail and really look to create a home, not just housing, for the residents of their buildings. Star Whitehouse is the landscape architect, and we bring this up just to note that that's one thing that's unique about our developments, is that we do bring in a landscape architect at the beginning. We really prioritize landscaping, and we see that it makes a big difference. And when you have them in the beginning, that can be part of the decisions that are part of the actual development and finance for the project. Okay, so the site is at 329 Clarkson, which is between Clarkson and Parkside, and Nostrand and New York Avenue. There's a mix of residential, some commercial, as well as institutional buildings. And we're really cognizant of that when we were looking in the initial stages of designing the building to really understand what that fabric is. And this is just quickly to orient you. This is the existing building on the site. So looking east and west on Clarkson and east and west on Parkside. So as we mentioned, again, the RFP was very prescriptive and based on community engagement that was done prior to it being released. So we were really responding directly to those requests that were outlined. So Clarkson Estates will provide 328 permanently affordable units. This takes into account feedback that we received from DCP as well as other community engagement. 50% of those units will be formerly homeless for the populations that were outlined in the RFP with the addition of formerly homeless families. And in our experience in working in CV9, we understand that that is a very key piece as well. The other 50% will be through the HCR lottery. Again, same AMIs that we discussed before, 30 to 70% with the bulk under 50. Studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s. So we also understand the priority for affordable family units and look to maximize those while maximizing the number of units. There'll be over 30,000 square feet of community facility programming, again, outlined in the RFP. We'll be looking to leverage Clarkson Estates to provide a best efforts initiative to hire 500 local residents over 10 years through Canva positions. We'll have a free Wi-Fi initiative, which we know over the past 2 years, we've seen how important that is. Connectivity really is the key to access. There'll be approximately 80 spots for residential and community parking available for rent. As in all of our buildings, there's 24/7 Canva staff security, as well as on-site Canva supportive services. There's an array of residential amenities that serve health and wellness. We'll meet or exceed our MWB requirements, going for Passive House and NYSERDA certification, and then there'll be a full-size basketball court. For the community hub, this is going to be named after Dr. Roy Hastic Sr., a local community leader. A lot of the programming that was requested in the RFP are programs that Canva already provides. For ones that were not, we'll look to partner with local organizations, but it does hit all of the 8 integrated areas that will address those socioeconomic determinants of health through the Vital Brooklyn initiative. This gives a quick overview of the affordability, which we will go to more in depth at the end of the presentation. But 50% for formerly homeless and supportive units, 50% for the HCR lottery, and then a range of studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s. And then before I turn it over to Eugene from Set to Ready, these are really the tenets that guided our design development. I think from the CHV side, we've seen that housing is healthcare and really can advocate for the wellness of residents in the community. We also want our buildings to be places where people have the stability to self-actualize. So the safety and trust that comes with the 24/7 security and on-site supportive services staff is key to that. Choice is another aspect, knowing that residents have agency over their experience. Having shared spaces for collaboration and guided, activities with the service team is really important. Empowerment, as always, especially on this project, with the extent of the community facility resources, they'll be available both to the community and to the residents. And then lastly, just that beauty does matter. And we expect, our spaces to mirror the dignity that we have for our community, that we are creating a home, not just housing. So with that, I will turn it over to Eugene to walk through our design approach and a quick overview of the floor plans.
Thank you, Ellen. And thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Eugene Flotter, and I'm a partner here at Set Ready Architecture. And housing and affordable housing is a core sector and market that we work in. And we believe every project we bring a sense of home as part of our company's mission and what we bring to all the projects that we do. And every time we start with a site, we look at a site in terms of its context. Context is a key indicator. You'll see as we walk through the project, programming and context and its relationship to the community that we're in are key factors in how this building lays out, and almost makes a lot of decisions about how we oriented the building and how the program kind of relates to where it sits in the plan and its access points to the surrounding community. But we are a community that goes from, smaller single family homes to larger scale institutional type. And it's like a project that kind of fits in the middle of that in this neighborhood, very much in context to its surroundings and kind of mirroring the heights and rules that kind of exist directly across the street from the site. is kind of all key factors that kind of orient the project. Our building, as you can see, so the program sets a lot of the decisions on where we place the massing, what we could do at massing, and then we look at the overall building as an as an object and an image in its neighborhood, and we do a lot of design decisions about articulation and bring a fabric to the building massing that creates the design, the setbacks, the change of materials. We play with scale in terms of the window patterning and how we kind of articulate the bottoms of the building and those recesses, as well as the tops of the building, with a little peek outs on the top of some of the green spaces that we have for the residents. And again, these are more than just a building for its residents, it's a building for the community. So a lot of the community program will walk you through, kind of really makes a lot of decisions about how the building lays out. If you go to the next slide. So it's an interesting U-shaped site. And as you can see here, it faces Parkside on the two smaller building segments, and then the larger segment of the building faces Clarkson Avenue. So you can, a lot of the way this building had to be kind of planned to kind of activate all the two street frontages to be contextual with its neighborhood and provide that kind of like residential quality the neighborhood requires. Kind of lead to some interesting planning elements on the site. So the building has this one building segment and then this larger building mass here. All are carefully planned for the residents and the experience of the residents to feel like they're in one building are key kind of planning factor. The building is also kind of set back from the park. The park is a big influence of programming and what we wanted on that corner as an activator. And then some of the other uses around the site across the street, we have the DOT parking garage on this and this existing gas station, which kind of dictates some of the program that happens in this building tail. But our main points of access of the building are kind of on the western side of the lot on Clarkson for the residents. And then it's all the activation of the street frontage and kind of the community center that we'll walk you through programmatically here on the furthest east side, next to the existing Ralph Henry Park. And then our other this building segment on Parkside kind of, is an extension of the retail corridor here. And we have kind of activated community spaces at the ground floor. And then on the top of the roof, and you'll see it in some of the planning, is amenity outdoor spaces for the residents. So landscape was brought in the early RFP process. It was a key component to creating the health and wellness, access to open space, access to light and air, access to green spaces. So all rooftops are visual green spaces, if not activated. Our main rooftop is an active amenity space for the residents. And it has, an array of columns on this existing kind of bearing wall in the building and community garden for the residents of the building as part of the health and wellness program. They'll tie the program on the ground floor and this kind of, walking track around the top for just, activation and health and wellness for the residents as an amenity. But you can see all the roofs, have some level of sedum green spaces. They're pollinators. They're part of the ecosystem of the building and its neighborhood. If we flip to the next slide, you kind of see the back side of our building in some ways. And I don't think this building actually has a back. Every side of the building has been designed as if it's part of the front, because this building is seen in the round. As you walk down Parkside, you will see the building from the the rear part of the building, but the back of the building also has some of our most interesting outdoor spaces at the lowest levels below grade that are completely recessed down and create these beautiful community garden for residents. And again, some of the just other rooftops of our community centers happens to be our basketball court. It's just green, non-activated space, but green visual cues that the residents then have kind of a visual out their windows when they look out the rear parts of the building, and you just kind of see some of the the program, the activation of people, activities, and green space are kind of key elements here. If we flip to the next slide, so I'm going to walk you across the street frontage on Clarkson. So one of our program that kind of dictated a little bit of how the building sits. The building is recessed on its two ends. One is the park side on Ralph Henry Park that creates kind of this, pause for, off the sidewalk. We were very conscious on how to activate this community sidewalk along Clarkson. And we went to great lengths to recess the community hub entrance. This is the community hub entrance here. And then we actually, next to the park have this program of a childcare program in our building, just adjacent to the park. And then this kind of community cafe space, which will be another activator of this really nice kind of recessed area with, landscaped, public facing, community facing, child, and a mix of age groups, all kind of, part of, again, our building in the larger community. And as you kind of walk to the other side, if you flip the next image, this is our residential entrance. It's the furthest west. It's away from the active park. It's away from the hospital activation. It's on the residential block across the street, a lot of new residential market rate buildings. This is kind of across the street from that. It kind of, relates to that kind of context. And it's recessed back as well. We create another, opportunity for a garden, landscape space, a place to kind of, unwind as you head home, a little bit of a decompression, and a central point of access for the building, secured 24-hour security at this entrance. But this double height space is also part of the design. You come in, it's kind of, a grand space, even though, the floors are where they are for the residential use, at 10 feet. But a very grand kind of entry point and breadth, and our program is full of outdoor landscape spaces. It's also full of art. Local community art is a big part of what Canva does in the neighborhood. So there'll be larger walls in here that'll be great places for community art. That'll be another activator that brings someone through the property as a resident or a visitor. And if you go to the next. So the whole street frontage on Clarkson, it's a relatively narrow sidewalk. So we tried to move our building back as much as we could. And on the ground floor, which is activated with a bunch of Canvas programs and community programs, is our kind of community facing expression. We recess these spaces in to create kind of shelter, places for light. Light brings security, brings activation. There'll be light out the windows. And again, just getting the community to kind of engage and use the spaces that Canva provides at grade. When I walk you through the plan, you'll see the various spaces for adult education, Canva's food pantry, the youth services, and the screening programs that Canva has, which will be all part of the retail activation. But I think recessing these things into the building, widening the sidewalk, providing, artificial lighting under this space, a little bit of shelter from the weather if needed, and then kind of activating again with landscape potted plants that are a little bit seasonal perennials that can be used to kind of bring this kind of green, in everything that we do as you walk around the building and enter into the building. To go to the next slide. So then on Parkside, we have these two building segments. They kind of stand alone. They're right next to the SUNY Downstate Medical Building. But on the extreme eastern side, we're right next to the gas station. We're right across from the DOT's transit garage. So this is the parking entrance. Part of the RFP request through the award process was to provide parking for 80 cars. This is the point of entrance, very carefully located, I think, in the most appropriate place on this site for such a use. And then if you flip to the next slide, when you walk further down Parkside, this is right off the end of that existing retail corridor. In our building segment, which this is a residential units, will be in this portion of the building. But again, activating the ground floor with community spaces and Canva's kind of civic minded engagement spaces at the ground. So key ground floor. This will bring in, just use, activity, people, pedestrian experience. And, again, on this side, even to kind of further widen the sidewalk and the public space, we've moved our building, more than 5 feet back off the property line, just to give ourselves a little bit of relief and a little bit of kind of an ease, experience and a better pedestrian experience as you come down the block heading towards the hospital, or, around the gas station site at the extreme corner. If we go to the next slide. So, and this is just some images of the interior. We think of all our projects, the finishes are very bright and light and air and access to light and air are key components. We always believe we could do, beautiful things on any project budget. So you can kind of see the spirit of the interiors, light woods, a mix of two materials in the kitchen to bring a little bit more design sensibility, sophistication. This is your kind of oasis. This is your home. The process of coming home and then actually arriving to your home are all thought in terms of our design decisions. All the materials very much, easily maintainable, solid surface on the countertops, tiled backsplashes, everything to, keep these homes beautiful, easy to maintain, and kind of to last a lifetime. If you go to the next, we'll go into the plan. So, the experience starts at the ground floor, so here we are along Clarkson area, which is, along this frontage here on the bottom of the page on the south. And again, it starts with, the park, Ralph Henry Park, and our program off of this corner, setting back this kind of community space here. This is public space. It's our childcare next to the park, which I think is a really great activator. It's our community center that you kind of enter at a grade. It goes down to a full basketball court, multi-purpose kind of event space for your community to do larger events, but also, very much youth-centric, focused on the community center. You come in at grade, you go down to the cellar level. You will never realize that you go down because there's so much light, that we kind of provide at various key points, into the upper part of this basketball, into some of these windows. There's a little bit of an opportunity to see some of the activity as you enter the community center. And then some of our, youth-centric educational services in the community center. When you go downstairs, there's, these violent, the Canvas program for, violent prevention and mediation would be downstairs. You'll see when we get downstairs. But then as we kind of head down Clarkson Avenue, we have this community cafe and Canvas, food pantry program, a community office type space. But again, we're bringing in, we're angling in the glass. We're bringing, people from the community into the space. We're welcoming, we're widening the sidewalk. We're bringing a lot of light and security and kind of covered space and activation. As we walk down, the Clarkson Street frontage. And, again, articulation of the facade and moving around the facade to create a lot of kind of design integrity and give the building a lot of character and richness. And then you have Canva's Healthy Homes and Screening Center, and then all of Canva's programs for adult education and financial literacy, offices and spaces all kind of towards the end here. And then you get to the residence entry. It's our, again, furthest west space. It's across from some of the other buildings across the street. It's set in, you come through the garden, it's decompression, you're coming home, you come into the vestibule, so 24-hour security, very secure entrance, very safe. Safety and security, key components how Canva runs their buildings. And again, when you arrive in, this is a double height space going up towards the second floor. But as you enter into the lobby space, there's a double height space going down towards the garden, visual cues of the garden. And all of our amenity program, everything you see here in blue is the resident only type program. And everything you see pink are more community street facing programs open to the larger community, not just the residents. So you can see your arrive home. We have these two building segments to kind of, the way the site lays out, you need these kind of, separation between those two building massings, but we don't want anyone to feel like they're in a separate building. So there was a key planning principle to try to activate this kind of central moment of arrival. We're using our mailboxes in a very fun way. They're going to be more like furniture. They're going to be more social spaces for people to gather. Everyone needs to get their mail every day. This is where you meet your neighbors. This is where you kind of come together as a community. And this is where, if you live in this building, one of the 26 residents in this building, you head up the elevator. But if you live in the larger building mass, you head up to this elevator here. But, double height space looking down, seeing the garden, activating people to kind of, use that space, head down the stairs. You'll see a lot of our amenity program are located there off the garden, but we have some, tech training center. We have our, residential teaching kitchen. This is all about the garden program on the roof and, farm to table education on healthier ways to, eat as part of the program that Canva offers its residents. We also, bike rooms. Bike rooms are fun spaces. Sometimes they don't get utilized unless they're very conveniently located. We have ours at the ground floor near your main lobby and elevators. And with direct access to the street, you don't have to bring your bike through the whole lobby. You come right out to the street, come right back into the building, through the front door again. But it just kind of, allows for it to be seen. I think everything has to be seen for people to use and be a part of it. And you can see this whole corridor space is full of windows. We put the windows into the corridor at this level. So daylight, views of the park, the activation of the tenants, to encourage the tenants to go downstairs and use some of the spaces. And you'll see as we go down, but even the property manager's office is brought to this building segment, bringing our tenants, from each part of the building into one central space and getting them to be one bigger community. Our key factors and how we plan. And then parking, it's entry point here on Parkside. You come in, you go down, it's 80 spaces downstairs of attended parking. In this, we did attended parking with stackers to kind of keep the square footage as small as possible, so we have as much space for the residents as possible in the community center. But here's the lower level and the main level of the community center. Here's your basketball court, which has some pre-function space when you have larger events for queuing up, or you're in between games of different youth leagues, bathrooms, and then Canva's, Cure Violence Prevention Mediation Center as part of some of the youth services in the community center, all the pink spaces. The lower level of the attended parking, its own access point in, its own access elevators up to grade and out. There's no co-mingling with the residents of the building. Safety, security are paramount, but the residents, there are activators for the residents to come down. A fitness center is a major activator off of outdoor space at this grade. This is beautiful light-filled gardens that you saw from the back of the building. And our outdoor program is a little bit kind of related to indoor. We have fitness related spaces here for meditation or stretching. We have this, again, a corridor with windows for light. Canva's in-house counseling services are at this level. So to encourage the residents to kind of seek those services or see what's going on in the building, we located very strategically off of these gardens, off of these, light-filled corridors, near the fitness, near some main kind of activators. Children's room is a highly used program. It also has outdoor space and functions that are kind of related to it.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm going to ask you to can you wrap it up so that our community people may have some questions that they want to ask?
All right, I will go much quicker. So then just,
you're gonna have to try and wrap it up so that we can ask some questions if need be.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. And then there's some open planning for remote working and education on premise. And then if we move up the building, just some of the key factors, all the residents, light-filled hallways, natural ventilation at the ends of all these hallways. You come up the elevators, you see windows, there's cross ventilation, post-COVID, fresh air, key factors, mix of program, multiple types of studios, multiple types of one bedrooms, multiple locations, tree fronting, garden fronting, and then even our program of laundry, which is a key kind of social space for the residents, centrally located on this floor as an activator near a window for gathering and just kind of meeting your neighbors. We flip just to the next slide. Rooftop. Here was the walking track, the layer of trees, and then garden and social spaces up there as well. And if we keep flipping, I think we move on. Okay, I am finished.
Great. I'm going to jump real quick to affordability and I'll go very quickly on this, but this is a really important piece. So, one, I'll just quickly for marketing and Lisa, everything really runs on 2 tracks. So you have supported units, which come from DHS referrals. Everything is vetted by Canva staff, as well as our third-party property management. These tenants still have their own lease and are income verified. For the lottery, we do local outreach with the community board. So we will meet with you prior to the lottery going live, give you updates, do trainings, which we've done before, on how to apply, what documentation you need, as well as local advertisements in local papers. This shows as currently anticipated with 2022 rents and income limits. These are updated annually by HUD, so it will be reevaluated when the project is placed in service and goes into operation. But it shows you, these are net without utility allowance, but what the rents would typically be, and we'll share this so that you guys have this information. A question we normally get is, who is this project affordable to? So it is the people who are currently living in the neighborhood, our neighbors, our family, people who keep the city running. I'm going to go through just a quick example if we have a moment. So, when you apply to the housing lottery, if you're selected, so for instance, Mr. Roberts is a senior citizen on a fixed income. If you're a 1-person household, he would qualify for a studio or a 1-bedroom, depending on if he has a caretaker. His annual income is around $28,000, which puts him at 30% AMI. The rent at Clarkson Estates would be $614 a month. That includes heat, hot water, and then there's a utility allowance, which we're showing is deducted. So we're showing electricity bill at 86, that's the utility allowance, maybe less than that. And then you have access to, 24/7 security and all of the amenities on site. Same if it's someone with their parents. Combined income is $84,000 for a 3-person household. That would put you for a 2-bedroom. $84,000 is 70% AMI, so that rent would be $1,971, again including heat and hot water. Electricity bill would be the utility allowance of $130. Because of the security, she can go to work and know that her parents always have someone there if there is an emergency, as well as all of the amenities that are on site. Last example is just the Lopez family. Family of 5 with 3 kids. They would be eligible for a 2 or 3 bedroom. Usually that depends on the age of the children. The combined income is $72,000, which puts them at 50% AMI. For a 3-bedroom, that is $1,572, again with heat and hot water and a utility allowance of $162, and transit-oriented development with childcare on site. So quick timeline, since we closed the project, we've been working with the design team as well as environmental investigation. As part of this project, through the RFP, we are to go through the Empire State Development General Project Plan approval, which is anticipated for this summer, and that allows for residential development at the site. We will be looking to close for construction financing in fall of this year with the construction start immediately following. We will give the community board updates throughout construction, notification of street closures and all of that. Lottery trainings would start in summer 2024. Again, we'll have community board updates. Marketing would begin in fall 2024. Construction completion, we're looking at 27 months, so that's winter 2025, and then lease up completing in summer 2025. So, we've gone through, we do look to leverage the development for the benefit of the community, both economically as well as the services that are provided, so that it really is an anchor of affordability, opportunity, and empowerment for the community. So we're wrapped up. Sorry for going over on that. Thank you, guys.
Okay, we will be taking some questions. Mia, you're gonna have to help me with this one because I can't. I guess the people that want, we can kind of line them up for me, if you would.
We can just go in the order that the hands up are up.
Okay, so,
Warren has his hand up first, and Alicia, then Esteban.
okay.
Warren.
Hi, everybody. I'm Warren Burke. I'm the first vice chair of CB9. First, I do want to say that Canva's construction and their facilities on the Kings County Hospital grounds seem to be working out great. But I have a number of questions about this proposal, and it mainly has to do with community benefits. Okay, the first thing is that in the lottery, with your past construction, you promised X amount of apartments for Kings County Hospital employees who have not, who do not have great salaries and they need housing. And I will say factually that has not been followed through. Number 2 is that I'm curious about the basketball court. There are a lot of basketball courts in that area. What this community could really use for its youth and its adults is a swimming pool. So is that something that you would consider? Thank you.
Great. So I'll try to take this in 2 parts. So the examples that we gave of the preferences, those were for kindergartens 1 and 2. This project will be going through HCR's lottery, not HPV. So the preferences are going to be vetted by Fair and Equitable Housing Office. So we'll be, going through, making sure that we're in guidelines.
Excuse me, that's not the point. The point of my comments is that you presented to the community board as well as to the board of Kings County Hospital that XYZ is going to happen, and it didn't happen. So I don't even answer now, but I will say that the apartments are like 4 or 5 years old at this point on the Kings County campus, and you have not followed through on your promise. And number 2, I'm
Okay,
greatly
Warren.
concerned.
Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, but we need to
But you
get the
just
question
did.
so I can go to other people too. Okay.
No.
Yes.
You'll take a little more time. So anyway, so the second thing is, in terms of the basketball court, in terms of construction and everything else, it's a inexpensive way to say you satisfy the community need. But we really need more sophisticated recreational things for our community. And I do request that you consider a swimming pool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Joanna Plustel. Oh, I gotta put a video on, sorry. I'm President CEO of Canva Housing Ventures. And to the issue of the basketball court versus a swimming pool, the community wanted a basketball court. And that's what we responded to. So we were asked to put in a basketball court. I'm not sure that we could change it now. Because this is what actually the community had requested. And to your first question, I'm not sure if Michael can answer better than I can, but when we did Canva Gardens 2 and 1, there were preferences that were part of the project, and that we were to try and fill the units with people from Kings County Hospital and city workers, et cetera. It's very, very prescribed. And I believe we did fulfill that. And
Joanne, I can hop in. Hi.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
No problem.
Go ahead.
I'm Michael Byrne. I also work with CHB. We actually advocated, for the HPD lottery to include a preference for Kings County Hospital campus employees on Canva Gardens 1. And we did meet those goals. And it's something that we advocate, to the city or state or whoever is doing the lottery, because it doesn't normally include those preferences. The basic HPD lottery does include a community board preference, but did not include a Kings County Hospital employee preference. So we really did advocate strongly to include that with HPD and met those and exceeded and met those targets.
Okay, thank
You,
you.
Mr. Byrne. Alicia?
I just want to say something here.
Warren,
Hold on.
You hold on, Warren. Hold on. All I'm saying to you is that I hear what you're saying. And I don't want to be rude, but I also want to get some other people in.
No, but that's fine, Pat. I get in some.
So make it quick, Warren, because I got to get other people
I'm
in.
making it quick. As far as Kings County is concerned, you have not fulfilled that obligation. Thank you.
I mean, sir, is right now you're now presenting the fact that you're going to do again community preference, and then you have someone here who's saying that community preference did not happen, and then you got you guys saying that it did happen. And how does one then find out if it did or did not happen?
Michael, do you want to take that, or?
That's my first question,
Sure.
because I think
on
Warren
Canva
is,
Gardens phase 1
I'm
and
concerned
2.
about that.
Sure, thanks, Alicia. On Canva Gardens phase 1 and 2, it went through HPD lottery. So they handled the log, and they do the sort of columns based on their qualifications, and then it's tracked that way.
So who do I go, who will the community be able to go to find out if you've actually done what you said you were going to do? How do you verify it, whether or not? You haven't told me that.
It's both through HPD and through Canva Housing Ventures. Yeah.
So who from Canva would me as a resident be able to go to and say, okay, have you complied with your agreement that you had in Canva 1 and Canva 2? Who has that information?
Anybody on this.
Can you give me a name, sir?
Ms.
Sure.
Boyd, you can send over your inquiry to the office and we can forward it over tomorrow, okay? Thank you.
Okay, because I would like to find out about that, because I think that that's important, because here you're coming into the community talking about community preference, both from CB9 and for Kings County. And if you haven't done your 1 or 2, then we're kind of questioning the 3. But my question, and so Ms. Hilton, I will be asking that and hopefully get an answer. My question is about the parking spaces. You're telling me that the parking spaces are paid for, what is the fee for the parking spaces? Is there some kind of reduced fee because you have different income, targets here? What is, I mean, you got 80 parking spaces and we know parking is tight. I don't know about else, but parking is tight. So I just want to know, how are you going on from the different income brackets the opportunity, or is it just whoever can pay the highest price?
So I can take that. So again, the parking was requested during the care process for the RFP for 80 spaces. We do have a parking consultant that we're working with who is working through the pricing and all of that with us. It will be comparable to other public parking in the neighborhood. It's intended for the community and residents, and it would, we'll work through exactly what those pricings will be, but it will be comparable to other public parking in the neighborhood.
So when will that be available public, your parking fees? Because right now you don't have it.
So we can circle back on that. It's a great question. We'll be evaluating throughout because it's not going to go into operation until construction is completed. So it is something that we'll continue to evaluate in order to make sure that it's financially feasible to have the 80 parking.
Do you have a time frame when you think you might be able to have a final determination on that?
Let us circle back on it because we'll be going through this through construction. So it's not going to be within the next few months.
Thank you.
Is that me?
Yes. That's
Okay.
you.
All right, great. So during the presentation, right before you got to the part about the AMI breakdown, there was a couple points on the slide that I wanted to ask about. Specifically, it said that there's a third party that would be vetting the tenants. So do you know who that third party is going to be and what their process is? Are they going to look at credit scores and other things that might disallow folks that don't have good credit or maybe have financially not the greatest history? And then also, is Canva administering the lottery itself? Because normally you have a developer and then you have a nonprofit that helps people fill out their applications and does all of that stuff. So if not Canva, then who is it? And then also who would be vetting the tenants?
Great, a lot of great questions. So we have a third-party property manager who works in tandem with Canva on the services side. So they both will be going through the interview process. We do, the third-party property manager is required to, review all of the documentation, and sometimes they even have another tier reviewing just to make sure that we're in compliance with all of our funding sources and the low-income housing tax credit requirements for income verification. We also, this lottery will be going through the state. That's how it's anticipated at the moment. So we will be going through the Fair and Equitable Housing Office to make sure that we are in compliance with everything with regards to credit scores and all of the current regulations. So they review the process as well before anything begins with marketing.
Is it possible to find out the name of that? And the reason I ask this is because this is usually where the details are in terms of if the housing is going to be actually available and affordable to the local residents. There's always like these little details that end up that end up disqualifying tenants, and then they don't even qualify for the community preference or any of the apartments. So so is it possible to find out that third party property management?
Yeah, Michael, do you want to take that?
Sure, yeah. So our third-party property manager is going to be Gotham, and Phil Lavoie, who was the property manager on Canva Gardens 1 and handled that marketing and lease up, is the head of their division that works on property management. So, we can, I think, this is going to continue to be a dialogue. We can share more information, as we get closer. But as Ellie said, one thing that we do and did on Canva Gardens 1 and 2 is we really come back to the community board during construction, keep you updated on progress. And even before the lottery goes live, we hold lottery trainings. go over the qualifications, go over the rental chart that Ellie went over, which was really key. So, we plan to come back and continue to keep you updated and share more information.
Thank you.
Okay, so Suki?
Yes, hi. I'd like to address the total cost of this development, which one of the documents that you gave the community board said was $177 million for 291 units of housing plus this community hub. Could you tell us what is the breakdown in cost between the community hub and the residential housing?
Yes. It may be best if we circle back and share that information with you. I don't have those numbers right off the top of my head, unless Robert, do you have those numbers open that you can speak to the per square foot? So I can speak a little bit to scope. So for the community facility space, they're typically white box. So it's a much lower cost per square foot than for the residential portion.
Do you have a sense of what the total cost is, even ballpark, of the community hub?
Give us 1 second and we can circle back on that. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
We have a ballpark of 23 million. And I think what's interesting about the community facility space is that, and sort of shows some of the changes in the need for affordable housing and the change and the amount of market rate development. This census tract is no longer in a qualified census tract, which means that it doesn't qualify for tax credits for the community facilities. So we think it's even more important to have this level of investment that the state is behind and putting out, because this particular census tract does not qualify for tax credits for that community facility. So this is a great opportunity to leverage the state's, subsidy for community facility and basketball court and other spaces.
Thank you.
Okay, so I do have one follow-up question. Given a cost of $23 million for the community hub, if I subtract that from the total cost of 177 million, I now get an average cost per unit of $529,000. Does that sound about right?
I think
And I'm looking, I'm just taking a quick look at Street Easy to see what market prices
I'm
for
sorry.
apartments are in East Flatbush, and I'm getting something a little bit over $300,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So, I'm just kind of wondering why it costs so much relative to market rate housing in this area.
Okay, that will be your last question, Suki, because listen, I need to move
Sure.
on.
Yeah, if you can answer that question.
So, I think we're sort of comparing like the cost of a sale versus the cost of the new construction, which, it's a big site. So when you have a site that is that large and you have all of the foundation and excavation, SOE, there are, parameters that do increase the cost. But this is a very efficient site, and the cost is comparable to other new construction buildings and the cost per square foot that we have currently.
Yeah, and I would just add, if you look at the cost to develop a building at that cost, and then, for break even for market rate developers or for-profit developers, that rent would be much higher to support the debt that you would be required to have.
And can I ask what the cost to you of the site was per buildable square foot?
Sure. The RFP dictated a nominal acquisition cost of $1.
So you paid nothing for this site. So all of that cost is just your development cost. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Nicola, I'm gonna ask that so that I can get everybody in that was up there, I wanted to speak. I think it's 2, 3 more people, and then we're gonna have to close out. Can you? Go ahead, Nicola.
Good evening. A couple questions. One is very basic. How many stories are we expecting this building to be?
9 stories.
9-story building, 100% affordable. What was the logic used in the mix of units for each of the affordability bands, income bands? Because I noticed with the homeless, it's skewed towards it's mainly studio apartments. So we're not anticipating many homeless families coming into this unit. Is that correct?
No, so let me clarify. So there's a mix. So for the populations that were outlined in the RFP, the formerly incarcerated, youth aging out of foster care, and formerly homeless young adults, those by HCR requirements have to be studios. We do have formerly homeless family units as well, but that's the split. So those populations are studios, and then there's formerly homeless family 2s and 3s.
Okay, but there's not that many of those units. And the seniors, what income levels are any of these units targeted towards senior housing?
We kind of refer to our buildings as the subway model, so everyone can apply. So the range of, again, it's reflective of the RFP. The bulk is under 50% AMI, but this RFP specifically requested having units go up to 70% AMI. So it's tiered that way, that the bulk is under 50, but we do go up to 70% AMI.
Okay, and then for the community spaces, the community hub, the sports complex, sports area, what's the criteria for people to be able to access those units? I know that there was a chart that showed that there's certain spaces that would be available only to residents of the building, but for the other areas, what is the criteria? Is there going to be a fee involved? Are these all going to be mandated and run by Canva? So they're Canva's programming that will dictate who has access? Is there going to be a fee? Again, just our lessons learned from the Armory. I'm just trying to make sure that we're managing our expectations on how accessible to the community these other spaces will be.
Yeah, so, we're still working through all of the details. In terms of access points, so there is a community facility access point, which will have security, likely will probably be during, hours of operation. And then there's going to be community facility spaces that open directly onto the sidewalk. And for all of those spaces, it is a mix of Canva programming as well as partner organizations, which we'll be refining as we work through finalizing negotiations and lease and all of that. So, Michael, is there anything you
No, I would just add that, thank you, appreciate your feedback, and we'll continue to have this dialogue. We're still figuring some things out, and we look forward to sharing it with you.
Thank you. Ms. Bond?
So would there be a fee? Are we expecting fees involved in using the spaces?
That's something that we'll circle back to you, for general maintenance.
Okay.
We have to work those things out, and we appreciate your comment. Yeah.
So you can get that information into our community board 9?
Yeah, I think as we go forward, we'll keep you and the committee updated, and it's going to continue to be a dialogue, as we develop these plans and figure out the hours and how we, maintain and have it available for youth leagues or any other leagues. These are all things that we'll continue to figure out as we get closer to closing.
Ms. Bonds?
Yes, I unmuted. Yes. Good evening, community. Yes, my name is Maxine Bond, and I'm President Emeritus of the 200 Sterling Street Block Association. That's between Rogers and Nostrand Avenue, very close to where the proposed development is. And my first question is it too late for community input? My community was not notified.
So I can take that. You know, we always continue to have community input. That's also, you know.
Can you give me an email or the applicable website that I could give my community concerns input? I'll take it now.
We'll share it with we can speak to the community board and get that, but I want to note that we, you know, really were relying on the community outreach that was done prior to the release of the RFP. That was done by, you know, New York State, and I know that there were community meetings and community engagement through with local stakeholders. But as we move forward, we'll continue with community outreach and to get input as we.
Okay, thank you. I'll contact the community board, ask Dante. My other question is, I agree that in this community, we have a wealth of basketball courts. They're attached to the public schools. My community concerns in my Block association, the concern is academics. And as a minimum, it'd be nice to have music and art as well. A pool would be housed in a public, an authentic community center. A pool would be housed there. So I absolutely agree that I don't believe that the community requested a basketball court. We have, again, a wealth of basketball courts. We don't need basketball courts, we need academics, and my community needs a roof over their head. You flashed the PowerPoint very quickly, so please correct me. I saw 50% of the alleged affordable was for the homeless and 10% for everyone else. And as someone said, seniors were not even designated.
So thanks for your input there. So just to clarify, it's 50% for the supportive populations and 50% for everyone else, not 10%. It is 50% for the community. And anyone, seniors, whoever is available to apply, as long as you're within the AMI bands. You know, we also know that there is a lot of concern with you know, academic services and youth services. There are youth services on site. Also with the, you know, the basketball court, which had been requested in the RFP. This is flexible space that can be used for community gatherings as well as events for the youth programming and some of the other services that are on site. So we look to be, you know, have all of these spaces be flexible so that they can adapt to the needs that are going to be required for the space.
One more quick question, please, Ms. Tedesco. I saw a teeny tiny green space for the community and a large, like a wonderfully large green space for the residents. Did I see that correctly? Because it went very quickly.
There are, you know, we have impactful landscaping for the residents as well as these setbacks, which are quite large on the community facility entrance. Something that we always have to prioritize is ensuring that we have the safety for the residents. And
of course, but comparably, the community green space seemed tiny, like maybe a bench.
There will be, you know, those setbacks are significant. There's 30 feet deep. So, but we appreciate your feedback and we'll continue to look at that.
Thank you.
Janice, and then we're going to end.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling to, I like to find out more about the community input. I've heard throughout the whole meeting that there's been a lot of community meetings to determine that a basketball court was needed instead of a pool or a community center. And I've been in this community for decades, and I have to honestly say, I don't recall getting a flyer, nor my neighbors, in regards to these community input. Now, is this for all CB9 members? And when were these meetings set up?
Thanks for your question. So I can speak to it a little bit. You know, the Vital Brooklyn RFP was released in 2018. So the engagement was done prior to that. There were community meetings to get input for the preparation of the Vital Brooklyn RFP, done by local electeds as well as state agencies. It was the lead was the 43rd Community Advisory Board, and that was pulled together in order to develop the community priorities that were listed in the RFPs released by the state.
So you're saying 5 years ago, there were local electeds and boards who made a decision that you're on your presentation now.
They developed, did the
Is that correct?
outreach to develop the request for proposals, and the request for proposals is what we respond to with our submission, and that's what we presented to you tonight. That's how we were awarded.
Okay, so that's based on information from 2018. Is that correct?
Prior to the release of the RFP, correct?
Hi.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, because we're in 22 now. Could it be updated?
I'm gonna let Kat, who is with HCR, do you want to take that?
Yes. Hi. How is everyone this evening? I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to
Can we get a video on you, please?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I have a young baby, so I'm a little messy right now. Sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Kathleen McCadden-Benjamin. I'm the Chief of Staff at HCR, and I oversee a lot of our community engagement and work with the elected officials around the housing priorities and the Vital Brooklyn Initiative. And we did a lot of community engagement through the office of Assemblymember or former Assemblymember Diana Richardson. She created what she called the 43rd AD's community priorities for all of the Vital Brooklyn housing projects in her district. And so she went through this kind of really illustrative process with her community advisory committee. We went to a bunch of those civic minded meetings. I don't know if you all remember that. Back in 2017, 2018, and we went through which population should be grouped with whom, like should seniors live with youth aging out of foster care or supportive populations that may have developmental disabilities. And so people kind of chose or outlined which populations they wanted to see at each site with certain amenities. So for her Vital Brooklyn projects, they created, or the community envisioned, Kingsbrook Jewish as a medical village, and that's where the seniors would be accommodated there. And then at Kingsborough Psych, which is another large Vital Brooklyn development in her district or former district, will house a lot of families, have some home ownership opportunities, more family working, lower to middle income site. This site she wanted to have for young adults, for younger people with maybe smaller children, giving them the opportunity to have resources where they live. Their kids can go straight to the community center and have those kind of support services right there at their fingertips. And so that was kind of the thought or the genesis of creating this kind of community hub here at this site. And the reason why the engagement, it's 2022, it takes this long to bake these projects from RFP to pre-development stages to actually winning an award to building and like getting to where we are now. It takes some time for these projects to happen, 3 to 4 years in most cases.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Miss Felice, I think I left you out. You were the last person. So I think you wanna present.
May I please? Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felice Robertson. I am with District Council Local 1549, Delegate Chairperson of DCAS and Oath. I overheard you mention that there was space for city employees. After seeing the salaries that you had placed up there, yes, a lot of my members make around that and a little bit more. But is it true that these apartments that have been built are geared for city employees? And if so, what are the criterias? And also I was interested in the criterias of the lottery as well.
Great questions. So I just want to be clear, when we were referencing some of the city employees, we're giving some examples from past projects, Canva Gardens 1 and Canva Gardens 2. As we move forward with HCR's lottery, we're working with them through their guidelines and their processes, which are a little bit different than HPD, which is what those other buildings were. But we will make sure to keep the community board updated as we work through that, get our approvals from the Fair Housing Office with the state, and we'll make sure to let you guys know all of the guidelines and what the prerequisites are, if any. So.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to close out. Did you finish or did you have something else to say?
No, that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
We are going to close this segment out. This was really supposed to be 15 minutes, but I guess it ran like, and you had really good questions. But before I close out, I want Fred Baptiste to just chair in for a second, since he is our chairperson over our community board.
All right, good evening. Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the ULURP meeting this evening. I do want to thank, everyone who's spoken on this presentation with respect to the project that's coming up. And I think that there are a lot of questions, a lot of hard questions in terms of, we want to find ways that even though this project is in motion, ways that we can refine this in the areas that are appropriate to make sure that this is something that's really going to satisfy the community need. But we look forward to the continued conversations. I'm very thankful to the chair for having this meeting. Obviously, we have a lot of people who are very, very passionate about our district here, and I'm going to ask a lot of hard questions. But we invite you back. And I think that's where we'll actually make sure that this project becomes something that's going to be bring the value that we want to bring to the district. All right, and I sound terrible. I apologize in advance. April showers bring May hay fever. So, but I thank everyone, and definitely this is to be continued. Thank you very much, Pat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you. We're going to move on, but I just want to say that we do have some information that you might want to just get from our community board office that was sent into us, and so anyone that is want to know a little bit more about the project, they do have it in writing, so you can request that from our office. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks all of our visitors. So we're going to move on into, well, we still got some old business, right?
Well, thank you for having us. We
I'm sorry.
appreciate your
Yes.
time. All right, thank you. We'll all get off. All of Canva Housing Ventures. Thank you very much.
Now, this is what I also want to say, before I move on, is that we would definitely like to invite you back, because there are, it's not just our committee. There may be some questions that the entire board might want to ask you questions about, or even our community when we have our community board meetings. So I hope that you would be able to come back and answer some questions. And if you have any materials, yes, and if you have any additional materials, we would appreciate if you could send it into our office so that we can make sure that our community people can read it and get copies of it. And that way they can really tune into the questions that they really want to ask.
Absolutely. And the more questions, the better. And if there are questions that you need now or before a meeting, let us know, and we will respond as best we can. When we did Canva Gardens 1 and 2, we met on a regular basis with Kings County Community Advisory Board. LaRae Brown was always involved. And LaRae was a great person to work with, and she can certainly vouch for us. I think LaRae from Kings County, but we will certainly come to any meetings that you invite us to.
Thank you. And will you also commit to any updates coming into our community board office so that as it comes along, in other words, we don't want to wait like a year later or 6 months. We want to know as things change.
Absolutely. Yeah. And particularly, I think the income and the rental guidelines are absolutely critical.
Yes.
So the community understands it. you know, we say city worker, but it can be any worker that makes that income. It's really based on income. And that's what it's all about. And there is a lottery, which we do not control, but we want to give you all of the information so that as many members from this community can be a part of the building, because it is will be a beautiful building. And anybody that wants to come and visit Canva Gardens 1 or 2 is very, very welcome. We love doing tours and we're very proud. And so please let us know if the community board wants, you know, a special visit, we can arrange that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And again, I thank all of you for coming.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.
And let's go into our next segment. Suki, are you there?
Yes.
Um,
Yes, I am. Actually, my question.
No. We're going into the next segment. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is.
Thank you. We're gonna take attendance. Can you call the roll for us, please?
Okay. Felice Robertson.
Present.
Okay. Pat Moses.
Present.
Suki Chung, present. Warren Burke. Well, we know Warren was here just
Okay.
now.
Mhm.
Esteban Heron,
Present.
Nicola Cox,
Present.
Lorianne Wolseley,
If it's possible, I'd like to do the same with your partner. Look into his eyes and be sure that I can.
Lorianne Wolseley. I did actually see her in the beginning.
She signed in, but she may be away from her computer.
Okay.
We'll come back.
Thomas.
Present.
Okay. I think everybody's here.
So John
Hey,
Carver.
Warren, I'm
Oh,
here.
John Craver.
Oh,
John
Craver,
Craver.
He's excused.
Okay.
Mhm. And Warren Burke is back.
Ms. Harris was expressing his concern about the TSA agent's murder, saying why was a bullet in his head to respond.
Somebody cut their radio off or something going on here?
There's a very loud TV on. Could someone mute yourself?
All right, here's what we do. Have some
Thank you. So we have what? Present, we have everyone, we have a quorum, am I correct?
Everyone except John.
Right, okay.
Tired.
Can y'all stay muted or something? 'Cause I keep hearing a television. Okay, so let's go to old business. That's really not on the agenda at this point. Alicia, and you want to bring us up to date in reference to, was it 54?
Yeah, 54 Crown Street. As the community became aware of construction happening at 54 Crown Street, for those who don't remember, this particular development, we challenged it in the courts. They wanted to build a 17-story building, several of them, and we were able to get the lower court to stop it and null and void it. And right now that case is in the second department. We're waiting for oral arguments on the case. It's fully briefed, as they say, so we're just waiting to argue it in front of the justices. However, what appeared is that they're not feeling really comfortable that they're going to win this case. And so somehow, miraculously, they were able to get a permit that allowed them to pour the foundation of a 17-story building. Of course, you just got to wonder, how can that possibly happen? Because, because the zoning did not, got null and voided, it went back to the original height limits of a 6 or 7 story building. And so by law, an R6 building does not go to 17 stories. And yet they got a permit from the Department of Buildings to pour the foundation of a 17-story building. They might have thought we were going to be foolish enough to complain to the Department of Buildings, but we know we don't have any friends there, clearly. They seem to have a lot of friends there. So we went and filed an order to show cause with the judge who had voted in our favor, Judge Baines, because the case, there's still some cases still pending in front of his court, so we can go back to him. And because we wind up in front of his court, he demanded that the property, the construction property manager come in. So Friday we were in front of him, and then we came back on Monday. He asked for the public not to show up, so I didn't tell anybody to come. So, you know, but of course they had their little crew of about 13 lawyers. Anyway, they made the claim that the permit was a mistake. You know, woo, what a mistake, huh?
So when is your next court date, though?
But I'm not finished, Pat. So they made the claim that the permit was a mistake. And so what they did on that Saturday is they obtained a new permit. And the new permit stated that they could build the foundation of a 5-story building and not a 17-story building. And they brought that to court on Monday. And then they closed up the site because they don't really want to build a 5-story foundation. They wanted to build a 17-story. But so now the site is supposed to be closed. They're not supposed to be bothering with it anymore. They were sworn testimonies that the permit was a mistake. It was a mistake. And everybody's now going to follow the law and do the right thing and not build. As far as the next court date, I don't know what that court date is going to be because we're waiting for the oral arguments. And so that means is that the second department has to decide when we're going to come in and we're going to argue. But I assure you, Pat, the moment that we get that, we're going to send out a large email blast to the entire community. We are going to be going into the courthouse. So we are asking people to come and support us by physically coming into the department for those oral arguments. And we are hoping it would probably happen between May and June. Anybody have any questions?
I would like to point out that this case is an appeal. Like, it's already been won. This is like, you know, the oral arguments are for, like, the status quo right now is that this case has been won. So these are lawless people doing this right now. And the reason they're doing it is because 421A is about to expire. That's the tax credit that that all the developers want. And to get 421A, they have to pour the foundation by the time that it sunsets on June 1st. So this is a brazen attempt to skirt the law, and I don't know how these people can go with their 13 lawyers in front of a judge and try to convince them that this was all a mistake. Like, this is very clearly they were trying to do this before 421A sunsets. So yeah. And if you recall, they came before the community board on multiple occasions. They talked about how they were going to be a benefit to the community. They gave the whole song and dance. And so it's just a good example of what we need to watch out for.
Thank you. And I really thought it was settled. That's why I was surprised that it came back up. Ms. Barnes?
Oh, sorry, community. Could we ask that the ULURP Chair, Ms. Moses, Madam Chair, and CB9 contact the developers in writing and express their disapproval of what was done to violate the judge's order?
I'm not too sure of what we could do. Fred, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, could you tell me right?
Oh, thank you.
I do have to say, I wanted to remind you guys that this is the former commercial laundromat that was there since 1935. It was a commercial it was a huge production. And there was a lot of pesticides, and this is a contaminated site that they were supposed to be getting the city to help clean up the site. And so one of the major concerns was the fact that they were not involving themselves in any kind of environmental remediation when they decided to go in with this permit. They had no environmental remediation permit. So they are taking all, and there was a whole list of chemicals that are in this soil that they themselves, found. And all this, they come in and they start digging, and all of these particles are now floating all over the community without any kind of environmental protection. They did not have an environmental permit. They did not have any vapor monitoring. They did nothing of the necessary protocols to protect the community, and they just started digging. And so I think that one of the things that CB9 has to start to become aware of is that eventually the site is going to get developed. What height, that is all relative. But I think we need to make sure that we're protecting the residents in this community from this contaminated site, because I know that there are already 8 people who got cancer from working on that site who live in Tivoli Towers. Some of them have already died. Some of them are still getting, trying to get over it. And this is only the residents that we know that worked in the site that live in Tivoli Towers. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And I think this Community Board 9 needs to be a little bit up on this. So if they do decide to get a permit, that we're making sure that the residents are protected, especially because this is right across the street from the playground. So our young children are inhaling these vapors. And so that was one of the issues that I brought to the court. They said that they had closed everything back up, which they did. And so the judge basically didn't do anything because everything got closed back up. But I think that this should be on CB9's radar, and CB9 should take a strong position and speak with the Environmental Protection Agency and make sure that somebody's monitoring this site when it does go into excavation.
Okay, thank you. I'm not, when it's in court, I'm not quite sure. So I won't give an answer at this point because I'm not quite sure what happens, when litigation is going on. So.
Yeah, Pat, if I could just give a quick word with respect to that as well. And that's part of what, I think, I think Madam Chair just kind of hit on the head. We're really not sure what's going on. So I've already had a conversation with the district manager. So we're already trying to see if we can get additional information in terms of what the current statuses are, what's going on, what the plans are, what the official plans are, where we currently stand, and if there are any city agencies that we need to be in contact with in terms of, figuring out what the steps are, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and just get ourselves in a position where we have the information where if we need to act, at least we have it, we can be able to do informed decisions. So with that being said, I mean, as we get additional information, definitely we'll be sharing that with the ULURP chair and the committee as well. So as we get more additional information, we're going to be doing that.
Well, one of the things that I would like to provide you guys then with is the remediation plan that was put in place. I don't know if you guys remember, they had come to the community board because this was a city agency program, and they were asking, they had to tell you guys that they were about to engage in this remediation plan because that's one of the steps that they had to take. And so it's about a 500-page document that talks about all the soil samples, the history, all of the chemicals, and all the ways in which the community is supposed to be protected. So if you want information, I have no problem with giving you that. But this information you already have, because again, that's how we found out about it, is because they came to CB9. Does anybody remember that?
It was so much that came in. But listen, this is what I'm going to do. I will keep it under old business, but what I would also like you to reach out to our environmental committee also, so that, because they really need to be more on board with what's going on. So if we could have someone actually go into their meetings and at least speak to the chair and get them involved so that, the proper reports and everything would be followed up on, because that's more, in line with them.
It's my understanding that happened today.
It did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Right. Felice, you had something to say or no?
Yes, I believe we spoke on this, Madam Chair and Mr. Baptiste. I believe this is the space where they did the cleaning here on Franklin. Is that the one you're speaking of?
Yes.
Yes. So Dante, he got in contact with one of the tenants there in Tivoli Towers regarding a few people that caught cancer and unfortunately, and some that are still suffering. So it's not that we're not aware, don't know completely about this. So Dante does, and he is gathering material and evidence regarding that matter there. Because they have to do a better job than what they're doing. And I'm really happy, Alicia, that you're on this, because it's really important. Okay, I mean, people are dying from cancer. I even have someone here in my building, her son, or her daughter had passed away from there, because they work there as well. I just learned. So it is very important, because we do have children and we have our own lives, and that stuff travels. That stuff travels. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree. And again, I'm going to just stress how important it is, you know, to go to the environmental meetings. That is extremely important, so they can really be on top of, you know, the information and what's going on. Under, so again, I thank you for the information and the update. There's one other thing I just wanted to say and make everybody aware of. I don't know, you know what our old Firestone building was on Empire Boulevard? Are you all aware that they have already started to dig in there into the soil? Because I saw it the other day. So again, I'm not sure if the environmental committee, you know, might want to look into that, because remember what was there before was a gas station. I mean, you know, they repaired cars. I mean, they had all kind of things going on in there. So it has to be some type of toxics in there, in my opinion. I don't really know. So that's why, again, I think that the environmental committee really needs to be on top of that. And I was really shocked that they were actually digging. I don't remember anybody coming in front of the board to say anything to us, not unless somebody else remembers. But that's where we are now. So are there any more community concerns before I move on?
Hi, this is Nicola. I just wanted to give one comment on what Alicia said, because she talked about the remediation. The judge that overturned the rezoning is Judge Bodie. Judge Baines did the original TRO. So I just want to make sure we have on the record and thank Judge Bodie for sticking up for this community time and time again. That's it. Alicia covered everything else. So that was my only other update.
All right, again, I want to thank everyone. Yeah.
Quickly.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to let you know that it is being addressed in the environmental protection, the 54 Crown contaminated soil, as well as associate, as well as Firestone, and as well as the funeral home.
Oh, I forgot about the funeral home.
Yeah. Okay.
Is any information coming into our community board office?
Oh, and I would like to say, I wanted to be in environmental protection, but I can't be in both.
Okay, so next time, y'all have to split up then, because that's real important. And again, any information that you have, if you can send it into the community board office, so that at least we can all start to read about it.
I will attempt to figure it out, because it's a very large document and I can't send it via email, but I'll work it out and try to see how else I could probably do a Dropbox, and then you guys can have it, which is the remediation plan. And then in there you have all the details about what was found, what was the concern, and what were the steps that they were supposed to be taking in order to protect the community. So,
well, we appreciate the short version. Because I know
I do have a short version. So what I'll
real
do,
short version.
Mia, is it okay if I send you the short version, and then you can share it with everyone?
Yes, definitely.
Like
send it
70,
over.
it's like 70 pages.
That's short?
I mean, it's a 500 and some odd document.
Okay, we'll
So
take the
70
70.
pages is the shorter version.
Okay, we'll take the short, okay.
Yeah.
Before I close out, I just wanted to know if there's anything else anyone wants to discuss. Suki, your hand is up. Did you wanna say
Yeah,
something?
can I ask the community guests whose full names don't appear to give me their full names for the minutes? I see a BB's tab S7 plus. I see a Diane. I see an Adama CHRATI. And then I see a phone number 347-350-8185. If you're on and you can give me your name, that would be very helpful.
Hi, this is Diane. Good evening, everyone. Suki, this is Diane Shepherd, community resident.
Hi, Diane.
How are
Okay,
you?
I know who you are.
Yes, good meeting, guys. Good meeting. Great meeting. Very
Hi there.
informative.
Hi there, this is Diana Foster, community resident with a big mouth with a lot of concerns, especially about housing.
Gotcha. Nice to see you, Diana.
And who is on phone 347? What's the phone number there?
Blackwood, I'm Clarkson Avenue Block Association between Nostrand and Rogers.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, it's Lorna Blackwood, and it's
Hi, Lorna.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for sending me info. Very good meeting. And it's the Clarkson Avenue Block Association between Nostrand and Rogers. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to identify? Michael, I see you there. Did you want to say something?
Hi, Miss Pat.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Hi, Pat. Hi, everyone. This is Lorianne. I missed probably the attendance. I stepped away for a second for a phone call. I am here. Excuse me.
Hey, Lorianne, I've got you.
Thank you. I'm a little under the weather.
Two under the weather now. Okay, so is that
Hi,
it?
Suki. I'm Janice Granum.
Oh.
Hi, Janice.
Suki?
Nice to see you.
Granum.
Hi.
Likewise.
Nice to see you, Janice.
Thank you.
And who's BB?
BB tab S7 plus?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is there any other community persons that haven't?
Hi, I'm Sabine Golding from the Clarkson Avenue Block Association.
Well, thanks for coming.
Hi,
Thanks.
Sabine.
Hi.
Is that everyone thus far? Okay, so our next meeting will be on June the 14th at 7 p.m. But what I wanted to say, Esteban, if you need to hold a little special meeting so that we can get our act together, we don't want to look a little shabby, you know, on June the 4th.
Yeah.
So if you want to call a meeting for us to kind of go over what your expectations is and what we are to do and stuff like that, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll try to do as much of that over email as possible. So that
Yeah, if you can, yeah, whatever way you want to communicate.
Maybe we can do a brief Zoom call or something like a couple of weeks before, or maybe just a week before, just to make sure everything's in order. So yeah, that'd be great.
The only thing is I don't know if anybody knows. I don't even know what time the event is. Did anybody know about the time?
11, I think, to 11 to 4, if I'm not mistaken. that right? Yeah.
It's 11 to 4. Okay, so the event is 11 to 4 on June the 4th. Am I correct?
June the 4th. Yep, that's right.
And where is it being held?
Ronald McNair Park, right across from the entrance to the Washington Avenue entrance to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden.
You know what that triangle?
Like a little, yeah, it's a little triangle park.
Right. So before we close out, are there any other? And y'all know I'm normally not this late, but you know everything was a little overboard. But anyway, it was informational stuff that I guess we needed to talk about. So we are going to have a motion to adjourn. But before I do that, I wanted to ask Fred this. This is information that really needs to be brought forth to the entire board in the community. Should we wait until we get more information, or how should that take place?
With respect to which matter?
The matter of the presentation that was given this evening, you know, in terms of
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is it's dense. I'm not sure it's something we could accommodate within a general board meeting or the exec. But if this is something you wanted to make a town hall style kind of a thing, we could probably facilitate something like that. But we'd have to work through the district office to try and figure out a time, time, place where, figure out the logistics of how to make that work. But absolutely, this is something we can do. And I think, I thought I heard that they've also committed to do those kinds of outreaches as well. So, I mean, let's just work on it and just see what we can come up with.
Right. And I think that that's going to be important. And I believe that really housing really needs to be involved in this particular situation also, because I mean, we want to know, when they talk about lottery, when we find out about the whole situation, everybody's already got a place to live. So, we want to bring our community in at the beginning. We don't want to wait until everything is taken up in spaces. So I think housing really needs to play a real important part in this, as well as we need to play a part. This is state funded. So we still need to know what's going on in our community. And I was really surprised. I'm gonna say this before I close. I was surprised they had so many jobs. I didn't remember seeing all these postings up in our community saying, to apply. I'm quite sure if we would have known in our community office, we would have posted them. But I don't remember seeing all of that unless somebody else saw it. I've been around for a few years here. So I think those kind of things. And so, again, if we get more information and you feel that, or we feel that there should be a town hall, then I guess we can do that. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming. I would like a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second it, Felice Robertson.
Okay, so listen, if they don't reappoint me again, I will see you. If I get reappointed, I'll see you on the 14th. If not, then I'll see you in the community.
But the reappointments don't happen until September, Pat.
No. We know reappointments will happen. No, not
to board reappointments
to the board.
Okay.
Reappointments is getting ready to take place this month. So again, like I said, if I'm not reappointed,
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be.
I don't know. Someone else will step
I
in
think
and
so
hold
too.
the
I think you will be too.
Okay.
Community votes for you.
Anyway, but I'll still be a part of the community. Y'all can't just brush me away like that anyway. So again, I thank everybody and thanks for coming this evening. See y'all later. Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
Pat.
Night.
I know
Thank you.
see
Good
you at El
night.
Castillo.
Thanks, all.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.